Hello there and welcome to another edition of Metropole TV webinars. This is a special edition because we are talking about positioning yourself in the job market amid the COVID-19. Now, since January this year, the world has been battling the COVID-19 pandemic, which started as a disease in the Asian countries but has spread across the world. And it's not like any virus. This virus has brought the whole world to a sudden halt. So many activities have stopped and businesses have been affected. Banks have filed profit warnings. We saw HSBC do that. We saw Equity hold on paying out dividends just to ensure they have liquidity in their market. We have seen companies as big as Victoria's Secret file for bankruptcy. Airlines have been asking governments to bail them out of their financial turmoil. Kenya Airways back at home has lost over £1 billion shillings. The African aviation industry collectively has lost over 90 billion Kenya shillings. And KQ will be laying off half of their pilots. That is how bad the virus has disrupted business. However, on the flip side, the virus has posed an opportunity to very many companies. For example, Amazon will be hiring an extra 100,000 workers. The virus has changed work as we know it. So what are the sectors that have been disrupted? Where are the opportunities? What is the future of work? And how do you position yourself to be headhunted by the organizations that are looking to hire? Joining us to try and answer these questions are Kemunto Makua. She is the CEO of My Jobs Kenya. And Natalia P. She'll tell us how to pronounce her second name. And she is the managing director of Just Works. And to everybody who's joining in via the webinar, welcome. We'll begin with presentations and then later on we'll open it up to our Q&A session. Now let's begin with Kemi. Kemi, it's a very interesting time that we are living in. As I'd said in my introduction, COVID-19 has disrupted the business scene. Take it away and do your presentation.
Kemi, you're on mute. Wow, technology. Thank you for that. So I'll take that back. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
This is quite an exciting pleasure. I'm really excited to join you this morning. Thank you for the invitation. And I hope we can have an interactive session on what's happening in the jobs market, the questions that you have, any thoughts that you have. So we just hope to share from our experience what's going on in the market. So just to quickly introduce myself, I represent My Jobs in Kenya. I've been a recruiter for the last 8 years. My background is from law, so I understand all the labor relations issues that you might have in future, but also I'm excited in a space where we try to match people with the right careers. And not just that, also try to find companies the right fit. Try to find people who are the right fit for the organization. So firstly, the question that everyone is wondering is, during this COVID season and in 2020, are there jobs? Yes, there are jobs. So I want us to start on a positive note of always thinking positive.
Okay.
So for ourselves, first of all, you have to wake up in the morning knowing that the opportunity is out there. You just have to look for it, but you have to look for it with a positive face and a positive attitude. So where are these jobs? These jobs are posted everywhere. The company that you'd like to work for, look at their website. Call them if their website is down. Find out if they have got jobs. You've got networks. Ask your networks. Your networks include your relatives, your siblings, your friends, the people you went to school with. They know exactly what you're gifted in, what strengths that you've got. Ask them, exploit those networks, and also present yourself well. Then read widely. Just let people around you know that you're looking for a career opportunity, or you want to change your job. That is one. Individual. Do you know who you are? Do you know what your strengths are? Do you know what your gifts are? What are you passionate about? What would motivate you? Okay, just ask these questions, then answer these questions truthfully. If I'm an accountant, where would I like to work? Do I want to be in a manufacturing sector? Do I want to work in a small organization? What strengths will I bring to this organization? What contributions am I going to make in this organization? So getting a job is not just about you paying the bills. It's about you finding joy in what you do, you finding passion from what you do, you waking up in the morning and being excited about the people you're going to meet and excited about the goals that you want to meet. Okay, so I don't know whether I've gone too far, but I want to also touch on mine is just to encourage you to be one positive. Look at your personal brand. Look at, for example, how is your CV? Speak to people, because we are so many HR practitioners these days. Look at us, we are online. And as well as here, they are online. Reach out. Don't just sit and decide, oh, there are no jobs. Oh, I'm seeing on television, everything is bleak. Please do not do that. I would just like to encourage you to step out of that box and try and work. Look at your brand, look at your CV. Try and when you read a job advert, the job description is there. Go through it. Look at your CV, ask yourself, am I the right person for this job? You know, sometimes you read job adverts, at that desk. You can see yourself. You can see yourself interacting with clients. You can see yourself at a podium speaking and sharing your ideas, asking donors donations. Now, when you feel that passion, apply for the job with that passion. Another thing, they apply. I think my colleagues on board will tell you they'll apply to about the month of August and decide, oh, no one got back to me. Oh, that company, they're just depressed. But I want to let you know that, first of all, just know you're not the only applicant. And if the only applicant, it's a competitive field. Okay. So how do you package yourself to that job is yours? That's where I'm talking about your brand. You must stand out. Make sure your CV is stand out. Okay, when they ask, if someone calls your peer and asks, Caroline perform in tasks? Is she motivated? Is she passionate? How does she relate with her colleagues? How does she take instruction? Extra load without grumbling and complaining and saying, oh, that is not in my JD. I don't know whether your supervisor has seen an opportunity and they're thinking of pushing you towards that opportunity so that you can have more responsibilities and just have more of your self-worth being okay. So I think I will go, I'm better off answer so that I just don't divert. This is a wide topic, but I'm happy to jump right in, because in the interest of time, I don't want to eat up our time. We're already at 11:17.
No problem, so Kemi. We'll come back to you in a few if we have questions and during the Q&A. But I want to pass the ball over to Natalia. Natalia, first of all, how do we say your second name?
Polish.
Polish
Chuk is quite easy.
Natalia, Kemi has done a really good job in just trying to set a base on the kind of mindset that you need to get a job and the kind of aggression and how to position yourself in the job market as is. But right now we are battling a pandemic, and that has kind of tipped the balance scale. So how do we ensure that we remain balanced in this pandemic? If you have a presentation, go ahead.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for this opportunity. I am incredibly passionate about empowering people to get the best out of their jobs. And jobs, I don't believe there's such thing as a job. Jobs are careers. I have been a recruiter, headhunter for the last 16 years. I have interviewed over 18,000 people, hired and placed more than 1,500 across 70 countries. So genuinely, when it comes to understanding on an international basis, what is the job market like? What is important to remember is that even before COVID hit us, we have been going through one of the biggest future of job transformations. Forbes has predicted anything between 300 to 400 million jobs disappearing. So what Corona has done is really put the foot on the gas. Even before Corona, one of the biggest fastest trends, developing at over 1,000%, is home working. And what I want people to understand is that, yes, Corona has, as you said in your introduction, has really impacted the world of work across every single sector that we can potentially imagine. But what we need to do is realize this. There are absolutely phenomenal opportunities that can come through Corona, especially and Africa. Once you are online, you are global. Once you literally can get yourself onto a laptop, you are now a global employee. So whilst the winning industries, for example, we can think of immediately e-commerce, as you said, Amazon. And not just that, Amazon have opened over 3,000 jobs in customer services in South Africa. You see, Kenya has the biggest advantages in the whole of Africa. Apart having a prime location, every Kenyan fluent in English. Not every African, or not all Africans will be fluent in English. So I think there are so many advantages that really all Kenyan potentially could have. But when it comes to opportunities right now, what COVID has done is prepare us for change. It has forced us to change, whether you are an employer or you are an employee. And getting change, to be in a change kind of format, is a very, very difficult thing to achieve. This change now means a lot of new windows are open for us. So when it comes to opportunities, yes, there are still lots and lots of, we are busy. I'm a boutique headhunting agency. We are opening headcount literally still on a weekly basis. So the shift has to change, and the shift has to be, do not just approach your job as you have been doing it previously. You now that change, you are now a global employee, and you can work from absolutely anywhere.
And you've spoken about opportunities. Besides the e-commerce, what are some of the other sectors that we're seeing opening up?
So you will, obviously, the medical industry of those, but what is very interesting in the medical industry is that we have private and public. The private sector in the medical industry has taken quite a lot of blow in Kenya specifically, whereas the public sector has actually grown. But as an industry, the medical industry has actually grown year upon year in terms of salary increments. I think during COVID, up to 23% in terms of medicine or provision of any kind of medical services has actually increased. When we think of Kenya, what we have to think of, first of all, our demographics need to be taken into consideration. We are 19 is the average age. Out of the 48 million, 24 are still in school. Therefore, the actual working population is very small. Then what you have is informal and formal sectors. So what you are finding is that definitely women have been impacted far harsher. When we look at the flower farming, 45 planes were landing on a daily basis in Netherlands, 150,000 women. So there is such a huge, but in terms of other industries that are growing, what do we have? The IT industry. Anything to do with internet connectivity, even getting solar energy, so that because we don't have electricity, etc., that is growing tremendously. We are finding, apart from the medical industry, we have, as I said, the e-commerce. There are so many, really. A lot of it is online. The biggest jobs that are right now most sought after, not just in Kenya, but on a global basis, is customer services, especially online. We are talking about anything to do with marketing. Any online specialists, from transcribing jobs to getting virtual assistant roles. There are so many jobs, but the shift has to happen online. We don't just physically have to always walk into an office and into a building, and that's where the changes are happening.
Camille, let me bring you in. These jobs are being listed because jobs are being listed out here. As Natalia has rightfully said, e-commerce is hiring, IT is hiring, the medical space is hiring. But Kemi, one might think, I am a journalist, so my area of expertise is communication. However, how do I align my communication skills to the sectors that are opening up?
Thank you. That's a very, very good question. And it's quite timely also. So as Natalia has told us, jobs are opening up in areas that probably we did not think much of. So first of all of us must be agile. Being agile means you are easily malleable, you are adaptable. Okay, let's not just be stuck. So what we should be doing right now is look, when you just do a quick check, whether you go online, LinkedIn, all this, and including our website, and you see the jobs that are there, the first question you ask yourself is, in this job that I'm looking at, what are my strengths? Because you can see all of us here are different. We all have different strengths. We all have different weaknesses. Then look at, okay, will these strengths supersede my weaknesses in performing this job? Or will my weakness actually impede my performance in this job? Therefore, if you know, because we all know ourselves, if you critique yourself, you know exactly where your weak points are, then there are so many courses that are free online. Why don't you sign up for that course online, read online, talk to people about these things online. Don't just live in a bubble. The world is about networking, and networking is not just about you asking for a job or for a deal here and there. It's also about you being challenged by your peer. Look at your peer, they're communicating well, but also be honest. If you've got a close friend or they come to you and they are seeking your guidance, because we exist in very small groups, also be honest. And we must be ready to be critiqued, and we must be positive about how we take it so that we work towards a better way. I hope I've answered your question.
And I want to still stick with you. As recruiters
Yes.
are posting jobs, bearing in mind the way COVID-19 has reshaped the workspace, what type of
Yes.
skill set are they looking for?
So number one, when we are posting jobs, every job is different. Every industry is different, depending with the environment and depending with the need. So firstly, as an organization, the organization will have their own values. So the values of the organization is going to drive the kind of people they want to hire. So you look at the value of that organization. Then, let's say, let me work with an IT professional. Let's say you're a website developer. So yes, you've got the papers, you've got the degree, you could even have the master's. You've been going back to school, so the papers are in check. But they want to know next, do you have that cultural fit? Will you fit into that organization? Will you fit and drive their agenda with their values? Or are you coming because you've got all these papers, you're coming with values and a culture that is going to destroy? Okay, so firstly, the basics must be ticked. But next, we are looking at you as an individual. What kind of personality do you have? Do you deal with people well? Can you represent the organization well? Can you sell their values well? Or are you always fighting, or you're just difficult to take instructions, or you're never motivated? Because sometimes you might be stuck in a job for such a long time, 8 years. You're wondering, oh, I'm not being promoted. No one talks to me. No one looks at me, because you have no motivation. Even we do background checks, and you can call someone and they say, hey, that candidate has to be pushed. These things are real. So I'm just talking about your personality must also fit the job. You have to do more than just having your papers in check. You also must be able to have the cultural fit. So find out what are your personal values, and also find out what is the organization values, because now organizations are online. They've adapted. You can find or even call them and ask them. And if your values are not aligned to their values, I tell you, please look to another company. Thank you.
Natalia, what kind of secondary skill set has COVID-19 necessitated for people to learn in order to remain relevant and survive the job market?
Internet of Things, Internet of Things, Internet of Things. It has forced even your traditional senior individuals used to be in an office, like to brainstorm physically. They now have become familiar with Zoom, WebEx, and everything else from Slack to Trello. We have really become a lot more Internet of Things. That's definitely something that has shifted. Going back to, I would like to add that as a headhunter, what is very important for people to understand is that when a company hires, it hires soft skills. And that is exactly what Kamuta was saying, your personality. When I take a brief, the first thing that a client says, I want somebody trustworthy. I want somebody who is a self-starter. I want somebody who can have good communication skills. And when you think about those soft skills, we cannot see them on the CV. So when I am headhunting, when I'm actually searching for you, I search for hard skills. I would not search for words like passionate or motivated, but I would search for words like project manager, communications, content writer, copywriter. So what is important is this: when you click and apply to any job board, and sometimes up to 500 people click and applied, please remember, it is not a human being that sits there and reads through all of them. It is application tracking tools, ATSs. And the way you beat an ATS is this: once you know that my key skills are project management, or you know all of the specific hard skills, you repeat these over and over and profile, so that when I search for you, the person who has the keyword that I'm looking for the most appears at the top of the search. The second thing I'd like to say is this: I am not a fan of the CV. Why your CV lives on your laptop, find you on your laptop. And if you are managing your career, which is your life, through a CV, you are managing your career reactively. Oh, there's a job, click apply. How do you know where in the process when a job is being opened? It might be at the end, it might be for pipelining, maybe they're looking outside there. So the approach that I take is this: you have to build a online profile. Why is online important? And this is where LinkedIn comes in. By creating the keywords and creating a network. If you are, let's say, a marketing communications manager, you don't just say, these are my skills, this is my education, this is my experience. In order for you to sell yourself, you have to show them what your skills do. It is never your ability. You can communicate, you can do public speaking, you can do PR, but what is the result of those? So people need to understand what is their actual value add. What is it that they do? So yeah, but I would say take an online, and the secondary skills, really all of us, apart from being very, very technically, we have now, you see, what you studied 20, 30 years ago is not going to stand you in good stead today. Therefore, you have to constantly keep upskilling yourself. We have lots of training. People are taking advantage on it. I have attended webinars that are in South America. I've learned so many wonderful things. So what Corona has done is given us access to all of these lectures really on a global basis.
Mm-hmm. What kind of paradigm shift, just before I move to Kemi and then open it up for question and answers, what kind of paradigm shift needs to take place in the mind of the job seeker? Because for about 20 years, 30 years, depending with how old you are, we were used to a certain normal, but now that normal is no more. What needs to change in our minds?
Absolutely. You are not your job title, you are not your degree, you are not your industry, you are a set of competencies. You have a set of amount of skills. You have to begin to understand that you are not just an accountant. Those eye for detail, having been able to handle high volume data, these are transferable skills. So the biggest shift that we need to start doing is not associating ourselves just within I am an accountant. It's not just that. And the other shift that really needs to happen is this: if there is this, all you do is sell your time. I sell my time, therefore all of my IP and all of my knowledge, I am the product. Now, the higher the demand, the lower the supply, the higher my price elasticity. If I'm looking for an accountant and there are 100,000 of them available, even their salary will potentially go a little bit lower. Whereas if I take an accountant that has a specialized knowledge or a specialized skill, then there isn't such a high demand supply for it, therefore they earn higher salaries. Mm-hmm. So the paradigm has to be, keep your career and all of your IP and all your knowledge is your responsibility. Keep upskilling yourself. Do not just think of the traditional structure. Open your mind up and look at yourself as a product with a set of competencies, not just your job title, your degree, or your industry.
Kemi?
Sorry, muted again. I just want to second what Natalia has shared. Indeed, we are looking for people who, as I said before, people who are agile, okay? Mm-hmm. We want to know, for example, if you've had a break in your career, the question will be posed. So what have you been doing during this space? Because now all of us here know there are so many universities and also institutions that are offering free certifications. Are we taking those up? Or what have we been doing? Are we volunteering somewhere, or are we just sitting at home and watching series after series? Okay, so these questions will be asked because recruiters want to know beyond. Like, for example, I want to touch on the applicant tracking tool that we use. First of all, I want to encourage all of us here because Kenya, we've got a culture of thinking you must know someone to get a job. I kid you not. I've been operating a website for the last 8 years, a website that has got an applicant tracking tools. So all my friends know this and my relations know this, but they will see a job and they will think, oh, my sister wants that job for the accountant. And I'm thinking what I'm selling to companies is a tool that is going to ensure them lack of bias. It was a fair process, and we were actually looking for the right person for this job. So how did we do it? We want to show donors, or the board will be shown how this recruitment will be done. So I encourage you guys, when you find an online application, not think these things don't work. Just do it well, okay? So first of all, equip yourself well. Show that your dependability skills. How are you trustworthy? Do you have integrity issues? Okay, because this is now why companies are doing background checks. So we're just looking for people with soft skills. So please work on your soft skills. Yesterday, I'll step aside a bit on this discussion. Yesterday, I've got a Bible study group. So yesterday, we were challenging each other to write down what qualities do you have as an individual? What are your qualities? Then we looked at the qualities were written down. And then my turn was now to tell Natalia, oh, on your qualities, you forgot to add that you're dependable because this happened and I can depend on you. You forgot to add that you are trustworthy. You forgot to add that you have this quality and this quality. So first of all, trust in your own qualities and work on those soft skills. Thank you.
Okay, now we want to move to the Q&A section. I'm just waiting for direction from my director, but I don't know how this will go. Anyone with a question, please unmute yourself. Might we be having a question? Before, as we try to see who has a question, Natalia, let's look at it this way. I've just lost my job, right? Because right now, you never know, companies are trying to downsize. What do I do first?
Very good question. And in fact, Just Work actually has an outplacement program, and we have put quite a few large clients who, can you hear me okay? Yes. So we've put quite a few clients through our outplacement program. The first thing I would say is this: when you have been made redundant, I think it's very, very different than anything else. Having supported redundant people over the last 15 years, redundancy it has an impact that is so strong. And even if you've gone through it before, even this is your third time, every time it hits you hard. But if you are here, first of all, do not put the fact that you've been made redundant, that your value has now diminished. Your knowledge you still have, your content you still have. So sometimes there's this perception, oh, I was not kept, or am I good enough? Throw those thoughts completely out of the window. You are very employable. The first thing that you should do is, first of all, start building an online platform. Start building an online profile. And you don't just go and dump your CV on a platform like LinkedIn. What you do is you start connecting and you start showing, for example, you don't say, I'm a great presenter. What you do is you show several presentations that you've done. Others call you that. You see, as Kemunto mentioned, personal branding. For me, this is the most important. Personal branding is an ongoing process. It has no beginning, no middle or end. It's an ongoing. And it is an impression in the mind of others. So if I want, like Kemunto was saying, I say personal branding is the most important thing that you must nourish, build, nurture, both when you are in employment. Now, don't go into panic if you've been made redundant. Don't just sit hours and hours online reading all the different job titles and job descriptions and go on there. Do your research more proactively. First, understand who am I as a product? Because I, as a product, not every company will want to buy me or can afford to buy me. So it's about taking identify future employers. Go and identify future potential opportunities. Just because they are not open right now does not mean that there is no job. Birds of feather flock together. Join the right groups. Join the right conversations. Build a digital online network, a global network. And then, as I said, show your value add. And you reach out to people, to as many as you can. And the other thing I will say, the most important for anybody who's been made redundant or looking for a job right now, is do not collect no's, only collect yeses. Forget about what you've not replied. It is none of your business. You have no idea. Do not collect no's, collect only yes, and then you move forward.
Okay, Kemunto, I want to come to you because you spoke about a CV and what you're always looking for. Sang is asking, what are the next important things to look for or to include when writing your CV?
Okay. Thank you. That's a good question. A CV, there are different ways of writing a CV. So there is no one set way. That's what I want to encourage everyone. Even when you do a quick check on Google, you'll find so many options. Even Canvas has got quite a number of templates for writing a CV. But number one, your contact information must be there. This CV belongs to whom? Your telephone numbers must be working because when we are calling, we want to reach you. Your email address must be working. Emails should not bounce because normally when we invite people for interviews, you'll get the call, you'll get an email, you'll also get an SMS, and probably when you're being called, you could be working somewhere or traveling, you're not able to pick. Therefore, your email should be working because the person, just think, the person on this other end is a human being, okay? And they're dealing with so many other candidates. You're not the only candidate, okay? So have your contact information working. You can have a brief introduction of who you are because you're telling us, but so many people just download this from internet or copy and paste from other CVs. You need to be careful. If you're copying and pasting from another CV and I see the font is not matching, or I'm wondering, this person says, but when I read the other information, be careful, be honest, people, be honest and trust yourself. Come on, trust yourself. So you can have a little introduction. Then we want to know probably what is your education background, because remember, we are working with companies or organizations or associations. So there are certain jobs that require you to have certain kind of level of education. So we will want to know where you have reached. Then next, we want to see, have you worked before? Where have you worked before? Start with the current or the latest, your last place of employment. Have the dates correct. Do not lie. Because some people want to show, because the job was asking for 7 years experience and above, you want to stretch the dates. My friend, we are going to call that company and we'll ask, and you don't want to be embarrassed or to lose that opportunity. Next thing, after you've put the organization, the CV should not be more than 3 pages. I want to emphasize, not more than 3 pages, because we cannot read all we are human, even you. When you get a long chat, do you read all of it? No, you don't. So the CV cannot be more than 3 pages. Then you can put your referees there, or you can actually put referees can be provided on request. There's no problem. Okay. But there's no set way of that the CV must look like this. But just know which industry, because if I'm looking for someone in the creative industry, the CV must also be creative. For example, I want to see their portfolio. Okay, someone that is in the creative industry, it's not a CV that I'm looking for. It's the portfolio. What kind of accounts did you handle? Because this is what my client will ask me. If I'm bringing someone forward, they want to know what kind of projects. You're a project manager. We want to know what kind of projects you had. So what Natalia was telling you about creating your presence and having a portfolio is very important. You must be active all the time. Thank you.
Okay, great. Now, Natalia in the beginning walked us through having lost your job. Now you've prepared us on how to have a concrete CV. Natalia, I want to come back to you. My CV is good, as Kemi has said, and now I'm applying for that job. and they've called me for an interview. How do I fully prepare for that interview, Natalia?
Fantastic question, very important. When you are preparing for an interview, the job description becomes your holy grail. Once you've understood what is it that they are looking for you to do, when you are trying to secure a job, it's not about just telling, I have done A, I have done B, or I have done C. It's all about positioning yourself for that job specifically. So if the job is looking for people management, you're going to be managing people, make sure that during your interview, you talk about what is your management style, how many people you've managed. So really read the job description like a holy grail, pull out what they're looking for, and then try and pull the experience that you have to match it directly. And the other most important, really, I want anybody who goes for an interview to take this piece of advice. Please understand the question. Most of us, when a business is asking you a question, they are after a specific piece of information. So and don't assume that everybody that is interviewing you knows how to interview. Somebody will say, how meticulous are you as a question? And do you know the context? So what I would say is this, make sure that you understand the meaning behind the question. And the final point I would say is that when you are going to do an interview, it's almost like you are preparing for a show. If you have a show to do, you would not practice your lines in your mind. You would actually have a real practicing session. So this is what I recommend for anybody who is going for interviews. Take your phone, put it in front of you, and start actually preparing what is it that you're going to be saying. We don't practice for interview. So I would say start doing videos about positioning yourself specifically for the role, and so that you learn, you can begin to see how you're doing. Make sure that all of your answers are no longer than 30 seconds to 2 minutes is a long time. Most of us in interview just keep talking, and I remembered something, and I remembered something. And the final point is, do not go to interviews are 2 ways. It's not a one way. Use this time to also evaluate. If you are sitting there and you are talking 90% of the time, this is an interrogation, not a conversation. So the idea is not to just sit there and take questions, yep, but to actually ask questions back and try and have a bit of a conversation, but ask soft questions and ask questions that will make the interviewer speak about positive things. Don't ask about negative things. When have things gone wrong, etc. We like talking about positive things. So yeah, prepare for your interview, read the job description like a holy grail, pull out so that it matches, listen to the questions carefully, and just make sure that you have prepared beforehand.
Okay, Natalia, I want to stick with you. The questions are coming, if I could just be helped. There is a question with regards to interviews still, and it's by National Wano. He says, the famous tell us about yourself question. What is the right way to answer that question?
First of all, this is the only question that you must be praying for. It is your sales pitch. It is the most important. If I ask any of my career, anybody that comes to me and I say, describe your company in 2 minutes, they will do it like that. Yet if I say to you, give me a pitch about yourself, describe yourself, they are not necessarily able to do that. So when it comes to actually, sorry, I've had so many different thoughts. My mind has kind of lost. Can you just repeat the question one more time?
Tell us about yourself.
Tell us about yourself. So tell us about yourself has 3 parts. Okay, when you have to start, first of all, telling why have you got, you have to start telling a story about why you've got into it. So I actually studied a degree in clothing, in fashion, but I actually fell into HR within my first internship, and I fell in love with HR, and I've stayed there all the way through. So the first part is why. Already questions in the interview. Why have you left this job? What did you achieve in this job? How long were you in this job? Why did you move? Because we are likely to ask this in all interviews, you'll say my first role was within this company. What I delivered was, what I did was, and then I moved on. So you are telling a story. And the third part is what you should leave as much time as possible. And that is, you want to position yourself for the role, why you are suitable for the role. And the magic ingredient in any interview is what I call positive energy. Positive energy basically is this. I am really passionate about
Natalia? Okay, we've lost you there for a minute. We'll come back to you. But there is a question here, and I want to throw it to Kemi. It's from Wangeshi, and she says, what skills can we start learning / continue building on to be ready for the world work in this age of digital transformation, as some jobs will be replaced by AI and robotics? Kemi?
That's good.
Kemi?
There is a good question here about how do I talk about weaknesses. That's a very good one. Now, when you are talking about a weakness, I use the CAR or CARL, context, action, result, and learning.
Okay.
If you've ever been asked to, tell me about a weakness or tell me about when something went wrong, you can share that, but always finish it up with what did you learn from it.
Okay.
Therefore, you answer a negative question with a positive as the end. Yes, I wasn't able to communicate at the start of my career, but what I learned from that and how it now stood me in good stead is, so any negative question that comes up, always try and close it with a positivity, because that will leave a positive feel of your answer.
Kemi, let's come back to you. Hopefully you can hear us now. And somebody was asking, what kind of skills do they need to learn right now in this digital age, as some jobs will be replaced very soon?
Okay, thank you for that question. It is a good question. And I think I just posted an answer on the chat. But first thing, guys, as we keep emphasizing, it's all about your passion. You look at a job, don't start fearing about robotics and AI. We've just spoken about customer service still stands out. Their job, you still need the people to do this job. So firstly, do your research. Do your research widely in your field. Read, and just research. YouTube is there for you and Google is there. All these are free. You just need to have internet. So after that, work towards that. Your job is in a certain area. Am I passionate in this area? What other opportunities are available in this area? So do your research. Don't just sit and feel despondent that now the world has ended since robots are here, please. I just want to encourage you, first thing, do your research and then look at your passion. What am I passionate about? Can I actually do this job? Because at the end of the day, people want to know whether you've got the ability to perform the tasks that will be assigned to you.
Let's cross over to the chat box. I had seen a comment or question by Peter Okea.
There's also another question I can quickly touch on.
Okay.
How can I quote a salary when asked in an interview? This is where integrity issues come in. There are some jobs that will post the salary there. There are some jobs which will not post the salary. But firstly, when you're asked your salary, there are organizations that already have a budget. So do not fear and lie. If I was earning, let's say, 20,000 as a sales agent, and then there's a job there I see, team leader in sales for 80,000, then I'm asked this question. 20,000 and 80,000 is quite a gap, right?
Yes.
I'm asked this and I start answering, oh, I was earning 75,000. First, I have lied. And easily, we can ask for those P9 forms. Those KRA ones,
yes.
You can check. Or even the statements to see, did this person actually earn this amount of money? So I want to encourage you, integrity is very key. Pray, be honest. If that job is yours, it's yours. That's number one. If there's a budget for it, they will give you. But they're going to see whether you are qualified to step in that next role. If you've been shortlisted, that means they've seen abilities in you, or they've seen that you're going to bring some value on board. They're like, okay, this person seems like they can do this job. It's time for their next level. So don't fear. Be honest and then do your research. If you know what the job is offering, because sometimes the market, we know what salaries are offered for particular jobs, also be honest, okay? If you just tell the recruiter, I noticed you did not post the salary for this position. First, I want to tell you, this is what I was earning, but I know the market value for this particular position is going for this, okay?
Nice.
I don't want to lock myself out. Okay, I'm open for negotiation because I'm excited about this job, since this is where I will contribute. Show your excitement, like what you'll do in that job. It's not about you taking home the money. Okay, show your excitement. These are my strengths. This is how I'll contribute. This is how I'm going to make this organization look good with me being in need. That's why I'm telling you, if that job is yours, you'll be given that salary. Do not
Okay.
fear. But
We are
then,
almost
yes.
we are almost running out of time, but I know the comments are coming in fast and furious. We'll try and take as many as we can. Okay, Peter is saying, if a candidate cannot articulate himself or herself in an interview, but has the best CV and seems to be the best candidate for the job, will they get the job or will they get considered? Natalia?
Unmuting. A very good question. You see, people by people. When it comes to recruitment and people interviewing you, it's a lot about how that individual perceives you. It's all about, again, that gut instinct. So if we are not able to communicate, it's not about the ability to communicate. So, for example, a finance person may be limited in the words that they use. So what I say is, if your head bobs like this and the manager's head bobs like this, it's a match, literally. So it's not about just being a high communication person. It's about finding birds of feather flock together. So sometimes you might be talking in a language that somebody else does not understand. So I think a lot of hiring happens because of in that 1 hour, I'm trying to understand, can I predict your future behavior? And sometimes you can come across as a very driven, ambitious individual, and that hiring manager may have previous hiring baggage. Oh, I've managed somebody who was ambitious and they did not stay long with me, therefore. And I will tell this to people. If you knew only 1/10 of the reasons why a candidate has been selected over the other, you would never be upset. It genuinely has nothing to do with you. When businesses are hiring, they're hiring for their own preference, for their own understanding, for their own. It has nothing to do whether you can do the job, whether you can succeed at the role. It's all about humans choosing other humans. That's why the interviewing, it's so important to position and mirror. I do a great deal on interview coaching. You know, I can show you how to prepare, how to answer the typical questions, especially when you are using visual language. You know, you have individuals that don't communicate. Have you done that? Yep. What about this? Yep. And it's not enough. You have to literally pull that information out. So I would say, if you have not been called back after you've delivered a fantastic interview, do not take it personally. That decision made has nothing to do with your ability to do the job or not. It is all about people choosing people. That's what I would say.
Okay, and you mentioned something about digital footprint. There is a question, if we could just cross over. Can I say it? Okay, Edward Bowen says, how do you marry CV and online social profile?
I use all the social media to headhunt you. If I'm looking for a really strong communication person, I might go on Twitter, but then I'm going to come back to LinkedIn. If I'm looking for a great creative designer, I might potentially look on Instagram, but then I'm going to come back on LinkedIn. I am going to say to everyone, you must build a strong LinkedIn profile, because there you can create a brand. You can attract opportunities. A lot of my clients that come to me work for the NGO, and they say, Natalia, can you help me get a job in the NGO? First of all, NGO is too big of a word. Is it NGO agriculture? Is it NGO health? Is it NGO education? Is it NGO? And all of those NGOs, the majority of the decision makers are not even in Kenya. You don't need to know people to give you jobs. You can't just rely on offline connections. So if you say, right, I am interested in NGOs, but I'm going to go after the health or the education NGO, then I'm going to look for these NGOs, follow those companies, connect with my future hiring managers, connect with my future colleagues, be in that network. And the digitization is this. You see, if I type on Google, if I go in there and I do careers and I do Kenya, if I want just work to come right at the top, I have to do something called SEO, SEM, and that is understanding Google Analytics. The same thing applies to your CV and your LinkedIn profile. By digitizing it, and we do that, I have a very simple in-house tool. We take your CV and we take the job that you are applying for, and we ask it to read it. You see, reviewing a CV or a LinkedIn profile on its own means nothing. I have to review it against something. So if you want to get headhunted, which is the best way to do, 95% of recruiters are online, 80% of hiring managers are looking for you. Get into that network and digitize, which means make it hard skill keyword basis. Yeah.
Okay, I really have to wind up, but before we wind up, Kemi, very briefly, I want to find out from you. WHO says maybe for the next 2 years we'll still have COVID-19. What does this mean to me personally as somebody looking for a job or in the job sector? Career-wise, what does it mean?
Thank you for that question. Firstly, your health is number one. Take care of yourself, because when you're not healthy, you'll not be able to work, support yourself, and support the people that love and love you back. Okay? So number one, we are all concerned about our health and our environment. Okay? Then number two, I've told you, it's all about our mental wellness. That is number one, because for you to sound motivated and passionate, it has to come from inside. For you to exhibit good qualities, do you practice honesty? These things they are inside and they come out. If you're very negative in your thinking and you actually don't listen, like the person asking about articulation, if you're not good to speak, because now we are doing interviews online, okay? It's not about, yes, it's how you look as you come here, but listen to the questions. Look at the job description. So it's all about being passionate and actually just knowing yourself.
Okay.
People, knowing yourself and being positive. Thank you.
Natalia, you take the final one. We don't know when COVID-19 will end, and we cannot even begin to quantify the kind of damage that it would have left once it's over. What does this mean for the future of work?
Absolutely. I'm going to go back and say that companies will be, you see, we have to look at the generations as well. Baby boomers, Generation Y, millennials, Generation X, they're all driven and motivated. The fact that millennials are now the biggest decision makers actually in the market means that the way we change, that traditional way that we used to do, is also shifting. So over the next 2 years, I think we will see a huge amount of changes. And as I said, workstation where we work will shift. We will no longer just be going into offices. We can work from home. We can work in virtual offices, etc. Absolutely, there will be a lot more focus on companies putting more on well-being. There is lots more apps coming up. There's a lot more information coming up. Your set of skills, you will not be just linear. You cannot just be an accountant or etc. You will have more of a T profile. A T profile is I am a specialist across, but I can drill down to all. So the traditional set of skills will change. A lot of technology. If you are technology resistant right now, just start learning, be curious. You have to learn technology in all aspects and use it. And yeah, you will be a global employee. It's as simple as that.
Natalia, we've come to a close, but I want to give 30 seconds maybe to the viewer who will be watching this or the people in the webinar, if they want to reach you, and what services do you offer, very briefly?
Fantastic. So justwork.com. Justwork has a missing U because we are looking for you. So it's jstwork.com. I do two things really. I have a really good career development program. I run one program per month. There are 4 sessions of 3 hours each, Tuesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Thursday. This is a full program from personal branding to digital profile to LinkedIn to managing your career proactively and interview and salary negotiation. I cover absolutely everything. We have quite a lot of international people. I am really focused on Africa and anything melanin. And then the second thing that I do, which is actually my day job, is headhunting. We do recruitment. The more complex, the more difficult, the more specialist it is, the better I like it. So when we headhunt, I don't advertise. We just go out there and we literally find you. And as a headhunter, what I don't do is I don't send CVs to my clients. I don't just send 10 CVs or 20 CVs. No, each client is going to get 3 to maximum 5 profiles, and they are ready to be interviewed. All the vetting, all the verification has been done. So it's very fast. It doesn't matter where your skill set it is, we can support you to find talent globally.
So on social media, how do we get you?
justwork.com. That's
Okay.
it. Natalia Polishchuk. I am on everywhere. I am on Instagram. I am on Facebook. I am on Twitter. I am absolutely everywhere.
Kemi, 30 seconds.
Thank you so much. So My Jobs in Kenya is an online platform. So first of all, we deal with companies that are looking for a tool that will be able to see high volume of applicants. So we've got an applicant tracking tool on the system that we enable recruiters to use. Number two, we also enable recruiters to search our vast database of CVs, and their profiles are there, and get CVs. Those who want us to do headhunting for them, we also do headhunting once in a while, and we'll meet the candidates and also will forward the top CVs to the candidates. Apart from that, on the job seekers' point of view, we advise you on your profiles, on your CVs, and how to package yourself well for the interview. Thank you.
Thank you, Kemi. Thank you, Natalia. And thank you to every single one that joined into the webinar, to everybody who watched, and to all the questions that were sent. I mean, we only had an hour. We couldn't handle everything that you sent, but the conversation does not stop here. It continues on our social media platforms. They'll all be... Kemi's contact details will be attached to our Metropole TV social media handles, and same to Natalia. We hope that you can keep connecting with them, and whatever questions you have with regards to this topic will be handled to the fullest. We hope that you've been able to get tips and tools that will equip you and help you position yourself properly in the market, so that the next time they're hunting for somebody to take up a certain position, that somebody will be you. My name has been Indira Ganga. It's been an absolute pleasure doing this. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.